Let me ask you a question. Could you survive 90 days with a $5,000 trading account without blowing it up? Most traders can't. They fail, and they fail fast. Not because the market is unbeatable, but because the $5,000 test exposes something they never prepared for themselves. It doesn't matter if it's your own $5,000 or a prop firm challenge. The second that money is on the line, the clock starts ticking. Every decision becomes heavier. Every trade feels like it matters more than it should. And that's when the cracks appear. The truth is, this isn't about growing $5,000 into $50,000. It's about proving you can protect it. It's about whether you have the psychological strength to control your impulses when the market whispers. Take the shortcut. Go bigger. Make it fast. Because if you can't pass this test with $5,000, you won't pass it with $50,000 or $500,000. That's why I call it the real entrance exam to trading. And tonight, we're going to break it down step by step. But before we dive in, let me say this. If you're tired of the same recycled trading content that only shows strategies and indicators, and you want to go deeper into the real battleground, the mind, then you're in the right place. This is the Trading Psychology Lab, where the market meets the mind. Do me a quick favor before we go further. Hit subscribe, smash the like button, and share this video with another trader who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing this community stretch across the globe. All right, let's step into the fire. The $5,000 test is not about turning a small account into a fortune. That's where most traders get it wrong. They see $5,000 and immediately start calculating. If I make 5% a day, I'll be rich in a year. They fall into the trap of turning the account into a lottery ticket. But the market doesn't hand out lottery wins. The market hands out lessons. Painful ones. The real test is simple. Can you not blow it up? Can you treat that $5,000 as sacred? Can you approach it like oxygen in the middle of a desert, something you can't afford to waste? Because here's the reality. When you trade a $5,000 account, you're not fighting the market. You're fighting yourself. You're fighting greed when a small win feels meaningless. You're fighting fear when a small loss feels devastating. You're fighting impatience when you want the account to grow faster than your discipline allows. That's the $5,000 test. It's not about how much you can win. It's about whether you can survive long enough to play again tomorrow. Think about it. If I handed you $5,000 in cash and told you, all you need to do is not lose this in 90 days, and you'll qualify for bigger capital. Would you take reckless risks with it? Or would you treat it with respect, guarding every dollar? Strangely, in trading, people do the opposite. They treat the $5,000 like it's disposable, like it's just fuel for a gamble. But the market remembers. The market punishes recklessness without mercy. That's why so many traders crash in their first 90 days. They over-leverage. They revenge trade. They let emotions override logic. And the account burns down to zero, not because they lack skill, but because they lacked control. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you can't protect $5,000, you don't deserve more. It's like giving a teenager the keys to a Ferrari before they've ever driven. They're going to wreck it. Not because the car is bad, but because they haven't learned the discipline to control it. The $5,000 account is your learner's permit. It's the market's way of asking, are you ready to handle bigger? And most people fail, not because the market is cruel, but because they mistake the permit for the license. Let me make it practical. Imagine logging into your trading platform tomorrow morning. You see that $5,000 sitting there. What's the first thought that hits you? Be honest. Is it, how fast can I double this? Or is it, how can I make sure this is still here next month? Your answer determines your future. The $5,000 test exposes 3 brutal truths about every trader. You are not as disciplined as you think. The market will find and magnify your weaknesses. Your survival depends not on winning, but on losing correctly. That last one is everything. Anybody can stumble into a winning trade. Beginners do it all the time. But the true test is how you handle losing. With $5,000, one reckless trade can erase weeks of progress. The real exam isn't whether you can book green days. It's whether you can take a red day without imploding. Can you take a loss without doubling down to get it back? Can you walk away when your ego screams for revenge? That's the line that separates survivors from casualties. Because here's the truth. Traders who pass the $5,000 test don't just protect their account. They protect their psychology. They learn that trading isn't about how much you can make in one trade. It's about whether you can stay alive through thousands of trades. And once you can protect $5,000, scaling becomes inevitable. $50,000 to $500,000. The numbers change, but the psychology doesn't. If you have the discipline to survive small, you have the foundation to survive big. That's why I call the $5,000 test the gatekeeper. The market is watching you, asking, "Can I trust you with more?" And in the next part of this video, I'm going to reveal the first deadly trap of the $5,000 test. The silent killer that wipes out more accounts than anything else. It's not what you think, but I guarantee you've felt it before. Stay with me, because once you see it clearly, you'll never look at your $5,000 account the same way again. Here's the first deadly trap of the $5,000 test: impatience. Not the obvious kind, like clicking buy and sell too fast. I'm talking about the quiet, invisible impatience that grows inside you the moment you see that $5,000 account balance. Because whether you admit it or not, that money feels too small. You look at it, you look at your goals, and you instantly feel behind. You think $5,000? That's not even enough to cover rent for a couple of months. If I want freedom, I need to make this grow fast. And that thought, right there, is the beginning of the end for most traders. It sounds harmless. It even sounds logical. But impatience is the gateway drug to every other mistake. It's what makes you risk too much. It's what makes you ignore your stop loss. It's what pushes you into trades you shouldn't be in, simply because you want to make something happen. Impatience is the whisper that tells you a $50 win isn't good enough. That if you're not making $500 today, you're failing. That voice is seductive, but it's also lethal. Because the truth is this: when you're starting with $5,000, your job is not to get rich. Your job is to stay alive. And impatience kills survival. Think about it. How many times have you entered a trade not because it was part of your plan, but because you were bored? Because you felt like you had to trade? That's impatience. And boredom trades have destroyed more $5,000 accounts than bad strategies ever have. Or maybe you've had this one. You see the account stuck around the same balance for weeks. You're grinding small wins and small losses, and nothing's really moving. Then one day you tell yourself, "I need to break out of this rut. I need a big trade." And suddenly, you're risking 20% of your account on one setup. One loss later, you're down $1,000. And panic sets in. That's impatience too. The market punishes impatience like gravity punishes people who ignore cliffs. It doesn't matter how much confidence you had on the way up. The fall is instant and unforgiving. Here's the brutal irony. The very thing you think is speeding you up is actually slowing you down. Impatience feels like acceleration, but it's really sabotage. Because every time you overtrade, overleverage, or force a setup out of boredom, you're burning through the very capital you're supposed to be protecting. And the $5,000 test is watching. Let me put this into perspective. Say you risk 2% per trade. That's $100 on a $5,000 account. If you stay patient, take only high-quality trades, and stick to the plan, you could survive 20, 30, even 40 losses in a row without blowing up. Statistically, that survival alone gives you enough space for the odds to eventually tilt in your favor. But if you get impatient and risk 10%, that's $500 on one trade. You lose 2 in a row, and you've already dug a hole that most traders never climb out of. Impatience shortens your runway. And once your runway is gone, the plane crashes. Now, I want you to picture this in your own journey. Imagine you're 2 weeks into trading your $5,000 account. You've made some wins, taken some losses, but overall you're flat. Frustration creeps in. You start asking yourself, what's the point of grinding like this? I need to grow faster. That moment right there is where most traders fail the test. Because instead of sticking to discipline, they chase. They size up. They look for shortcuts. And in doing so, they prove they're not ready. The market doesn't fail them. They fail themselves. Here's the paradox. The only way to grow your $5,000 is to stop obsessing about growing it. The moment you focus on protecting it, on surviving day after day without blowing it up, the growth starts to take care of itself. The impatient trader burns out. The patient trader compounds. And the difference between the two isn't skill. It isn't strategy. It isn't even market conditions. It's psychology. I'll tell you a story. A trader I coached once entered a prop firm challenge with $5,000. His plan was simple: risk 1% per trade, stick to his setups, and survive the evaluation. For the first 2 weeks, he did exactly that. Small wins, small losses. The account barely moved, but he was in control. Then one Friday, he got impatient. He felt like he needed to end the week strong. He doubled his risk, took 3 impulsive trades, and by the end of the day, he was down $1,200. His account didn't blow up that day, but his mindset did. He lost confidence, started chasing losses, and within 3 weeks the entire account was gone. Not because his strategy was bad, not because the market was unfair, but because impatience cracked the foundation. That's the silent killer of the $5,000 test. It doesn't come at you loud. It doesn't scream in your face. It starts small like a whisper. Faster, bigger, more. And if you don't catch it, it snowballs until your account is nothing but ashes. So how do you beat impatience? The answer is simple, but not easy. You reframe the game. Instead of asking, "How much can I make this month?" ask, "How long can I survive without blowing this up?" Instead of focusing on doubling your account, focus on doubling your days of discipline. Instead of celebrating big wins, celebrate controlled losses. Because every time you lose correctly, you're proving to yourself and the market that you can pass the test. And here's the shift. When you stop measuring progress by dollars and start measuring it by discipline, you take impatience out of the driver's seat. You give yourself time. You give yourself runway. And you start to see the $5,000 account for what it really is, not a shortcut to riches, but a classroom for mastery. That's the first deadly trap. And if you can recognize it and resist it, you've already done what 90% of traders never do. But the $5,000 test doesn't stop there. Passing the impatience trap only gets you to the next challenge. And this next one, it's even more dangerous, because it doesn't just destroy accounts. It destroys identities. Stay with me, because in the next part of this video, I'm going to reveal the second trap, the one that makes traders question who they really are and whether they were ever cut out for this game at all. You survived impatience. You didn't blow the account in the first month. You learned to slow down, to breathe, to let the trades come to you. That's good. That's progress. But the market has another trap waiting, one far more subtle, far more dangerous. It's not about your execution. It's not about your strategy. It's about something deeper. It's about who you believe you are. This is the identity trap. Here's how it works. You start trading with $5,000, but in your mind, you're not a small trader. You see yourself as a professional, a future millionaire, someone destined to grow this account into something extraordinary. You don't want to be seen as the guy grinding out $20 a day. That feels beneath you. It feels too small. So, instead of trading the account you have, you start trading the account you wish you had. And that's where disaster begins. Because when your identity is tied to big wins, but your reality is small capital, you create unbearable pressure. Suddenly, every trade feels like a judgment of who you are. A small profit feels insulting. A small loss feels humiliating. And you start forcing the market to validate your self-image. But here's the truth the market will beat into you. It doesn't care who you think you are. The market doesn't care if you've read 50 books on trading psychology, or if you've studied charts for 5 years, or if you've passed a demo challenge 10 times. The market only cares about how you act with the money in front of you. And this is where most traders fail the $5,000 test. They refuse to accept their reality. They won't humble themselves to trade small, to respect the grind, to build discipline dollar by dollar. They want to become the big trader without surviving the small trader phase. It's like a boxer stepping into the ring with a heavyweight champion before learning to take a jab. The result is predictable. Now, I want you to pause and ask yourself, who are you when you trade? Not who you want to be, not who you dream of becoming. But right now, with $5,000 on the line, who are you? If your identity is wrapped up in winning, you will chase trades. If your identity is wrapped up in proving yourself, you will force the market to give you validation. And if your identity is wrapped up in ego, you will never respect the slow climb that real trading demands. That's why the identity trap is so deadly. It blinds you. It makes you treat the market like a mirror instead of a battlefield. And the market is not a mirror. It's a meat grinder. The traders who pass this stage learn something profound. They are not their P&L. Read that again. You are not your P&L. Your wins don't make you a genius. Your losses don't make you a failure. The $5,000 test isn't asking you to be someone. It's asking you to be disciplined. To trade what's in front of you, not what's in your head. But here's the cruel twist. This isn't just about trading. It's about life. Because the identity trap shows up everywhere. You tell yourself, I'll be happy when I make X amount. Or, I'll respect myself when I achieve Y. But until then, you feel small, inadequate, incomplete. Trading magnifies that lie. If you don't fix it here, with $5,000, you'll carry it with you forever. Even if you scale to $50,000, $500,000, or more, you'll still be that same insecure trader, desperately trying to prove something with every click. That's why passing the identity trap matters. Because once you let go of needing to be someone in the market, you free yourself to simply trade. Let me tell you something that shifted my entire perspective. I once asked a trader who managed millions, "How do you not feel pressure trading size like that?" He laughed. He said, "Because I stopped trying to prove anything a long time ago. A trade is just a trade. My job is survival, not validation." That hit me like a punch in the chest. A trade is just a trade. It doesn't define me. It doesn't crown me. It doesn't shame me. It's just a trade. That's the mindset you need to pass the $5,000 test. You need to strip away the identity, the ego, the need to impress. You need to humble yourself enough to say, right now, my job is not to be a hero. My job is to survive. And the irony? Once you stop trying to prove you're a big trader, you start becoming one. Because discipline compounds. Respect for the small account builds the foundation for handling big capital. But you'll never get there if you fail this test. So let me ask you again, who are you when you trade? Are you the dreamer, chasing validation? Or are you the survivor, grinding patiently, protecting the account, and playing the long game? One identity will destroy you. The other will make you unstoppable. And in the next section, I'll show you the third deadly trap of the $5,000 test, one that no amount of books or strategies can prepare you for. It's not impatience. It's not identity. It's something even more powerful, something that lives in every trader's nervous system. If you can't master it, you'll fail the test no matter how smart you are. Stay locked in. Because this one, it's the real killer. You've faced impatience. You've stared down the identity trap. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Most traders are already gone. But now comes the trap that no book, no strategy, no risk management calculator can truly prepare you for. This is the nervous system trap. Let me explain. You think trading is about charts, entries, and exits. But in reality, trading is about biology. It's about what happens in your body the moment money is at risk. And with $5,000 on the line, even the calmest trader discovers the truth. Your nervous system is your real account balance. Here's what I mean. You take a trade. Risk is small. Rationally, you know you're fine. But suddenly your chest tightens. Your breathing shortens. Your palms get sweaty. Your mind starts racing. What if this goes against me? What if I lose again? What if I can't come back from this? That spiral isn't logic. That's your nervous system firing alarms, treating a $100 risk like it's a threat to your survival. Your body doesn't know the difference between losing a trade and facing a predator in the wild. To your biology, risk is danger. And danger triggers fight, flight, or freeze. That's why so many traders blow up accounts they knew how to manage. On paper, their plan was perfect. In real time, their body hijacked their brain. Instead of following rules, they panicked. Instead of executing, they froze. Instead of cutting losses, they fought back with revenge trades. That's the nervous system trap. It doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't care how many hours you've backtested. It only cares about survival. And if you don't learn to regulate it, your body will sabotage your trading long before your mind catches up. Now, here's the scary part. The $5,000 test is designed to expose this. Why? Because $5,000 is just enough money to matter. It's not so small that you don't care. It's not so large that you're numb. It's the perfect number to trigger stress. For most traders, it's the first account size that feels real. And once it feels real, your nervous system lights up. This is why you can be calm on demo and completely unhinged with live money. It's not about the strategy. It's about biology. Think back to your own trades. Ever noticed how you suddenly become a different person in the middle of a losing streak? One moment you're logical, patient, disciplined. The next, you're clicking buttons like a gambler at a slot machine, chasing, desperate, out of control. That's not you failing as a trader. That's your nervous system running the show. So how do you beat it? First, you stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending you can think your way out of panic. When your nervous system is hijacked, you can't outthink it. You need to outregulate it. That means training your body, not just your mind. Breathing, pausing, walking away, cold exposure, physical exercise. These aren't optional extras. They're survival tools. Because if you can't calm your nervous system, you'll never stay calm in the market. Second, you shrink risk to match your biology. Forget what YouTube says about risking 2% per trade. If 2% makes your hands shake, it's too much. The right risk is the one you can actually handle without your body going into overdrive. Even if that means risking 0.25%. Even if that means the wins feel tiny. Because here's the truth. Tiny, boring wins build strong nervous systems. Wild, oversized risks destroy them. Third, you need repetition. The only way your body learns safety is through exposure. The more trades you take with controlled risk, the more your nervous system adapts. Slowly, it realizes, I can lose and still be safe. I can risk and still survive. That adaptation is the real training. Not just studying charts, but rewiring your biology. Now, here's what makes the nervous system trap deadly. It's invisible. You can study impatience. You can recognize ego. But your biology? It sneaks up on you. You won't even know you're in the trap until you're already clicking the mouse in a panic. That's why most traders don't survive this stage. They think it's a strategy problem when it's really a nervous system problem. The traders who pass the $5,000 test aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the calmest. They're the ones who build resilience, who learn to stay grounded when the body screams danger. And once you master this, something amazing happens. Trading stops feeling like a battlefield. It starts feeling like a practice. Every trade becomes an opportunity to train calm, to strengthen your nervous system, to prove to yourself that you can handle the pressure. This is why I say the $5,000 test isn't about money. It's about mastery. Because if you can't master your biology with $5,000, you won't survive $50,000. But if you can stay calm under the fire of the nervous system trap, you unlock something most traders never reach: emotional freedom in the market. And when you have that, the game changes. You no longer chase. You no longer fear. You simply trade. That's the real test. And in the final section of this video, I'm going to tie it all together. You'll see how impatience, identity, and biology form the three gates of the $5,000 test. And more importantly, you'll discover the single mindset shift that makes passing all three not just possible, but inevitable. Stick with me. This last part could be the difference between repeating the cycle of failure and finally breaking free. You've seen the traps. You've felt the weight of impatience, the sting of identity, the ambush of your own biology. And now we come to the real question. How do you pass the $5,000 test? Because here's the truth, most won't. Most traders will blow the account, not because they're bad people or even bad analysts, but because they don't understand what the test is really about. They think it's about profit. It's not. The $5,000 test is about survival. It's about proving to yourself, to the market, and to your nervous system that you can last. That you can stay standing when everything in you wants to quit, chase, or explode. And the only way to pass it is with one mindset shift. The mindset that separates gamblers from professionals, amateurs from masters. Here it is. Your job is not to grow. Your job is not to win. Your job is to survive. Let that sink in. If you treat $5,000 like fuel for fast growth, you'll gamble it away. If you treat it like validation for your identity, you'll sabotage it. If you treat it like proof that you're worthy, you'll crumble under pressure. But if you treat it like oxygen in the desert, precious, limited, necessary for survival, you'll respect it. You'll protect it. And that respect is what allows growth to eventually happen. See, traders fail because they start with the wrong goal. They want to make $5,000 into $50,000. But the true goal of the $5,000 test is to still be here in 90 days. To not blow up. To walk through fire without losing yourself. When you embrace survival as your mission, everything changes. Suddenly, you don't need to trade every day. You don't need to take every setup. You don't need to size up because you're behind. You start thinking like a professional: conserve, protect, endure. Because here's the paradox. When you stop trying to grow recklessly, growth starts happening naturally. When you stop forcing trades, the good ones find you. When you stop chasing validation, your discipline compounds. That's how accounts survive. That's how traders scale. Think about Richard Dennis and the turtle traders. He didn't hand them millions on day one. He gave them small capital first to test their discipline, to see if they could follow rules, survive the grind, and regulate themselves under pressure. The ones who passed? He trusted them with millions. The market works the same way. It's the ultimate prop firm. The $5,000 test is the challenge account. Pass it, and you'll be rewarded with the ability to handle bigger. Fail it, and you'll be recycled back into the crowd. So how do you survive? 3 things. 1. Respect the pace. Stop looking for shortcuts. Survival is slow by design. 2. Detach your identity. You are not your P&L. You are your discipline. 3. Train your body. Regulate your nervous system. Build calm under fire. Do these 3 and you'll pass. Fail any of them, and the market will take your $5,000 as tuition. And here's the part nobody tells you. Passing the $5,000 test is not just about trading. It's about life, because the same traps show up everywhere. Impatience in your career. Identity in your relationships. Nervous system hijacks in moments of stress. The discipline you build here bleeds into everything you do. That's why traders who survive become different people. They're calmer, stronger, less reactive, more intentional. The $5,000 test isn't just preparing you for markets. It's preparing you for life. So let me leave you with this. If you're sitting there with $5,000 in an account right now, staring at the screen, feeling that mix of hope and fear, know this: you are already in the test. You don't need to wait for some future moment. The exam has already begun. The question is simple. Will you blow it up chasing validation, or will you pass by respecting survival? Because those who pass, those who survive, they get to keep playing. They get to grow. They get to scale. And eventually they get to win. But those who fail, they get recycled. They get stripped down. They get humbled until they learn the lesson the hard way. Don't let that be you. Respect the $5,000. Respect the process. Respect yourself enough to stop rushing, stop proving, stop gambling. Your job is not to get rich quick. Your job is to last long enough for the market to pay you what you're worth. Survival first. Growth second. That's the real path. That's how you pass the test. And if this resonated with you, if you felt even one truth hit deep in your gut, do me a favor. Subscribe to the Trading Psychology Lab, smash that like button, and share this with another trader who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing traders from every corner of the world going through this journey together. Because remember this, the market doesn't care if you win today. The market only cares if you can survive tomorrow. And survival is built on discipline. That's the trader you are becoming. That's the trader who lasts. And this is where the market meets the mind.